Shifting breezes grace the inner spectrum of your gland.
Back again, guys. Hello, it's your host, Jawan Hakeem Had Not. This is episode 7 of The Minds. I'm joined today just by myself, guys. Gonna unpack a lot about fear and social media today on this episode. Hopefully you guys get some information out of this episode, and hopefully you guys refer back to this with this time that we're in right now. I feel like this is super, super, super important. First off, I just want to jump in and let you guys know this episode is promoted by JustWorks Training. He has a new website out. It's a training website where he do basketball training, and we're going to venture off into some other things. But right now he has some pre-order hoodies coming out that's ready and available. I'll have that link in the description below so you guys can tap into that. But I always start off my episodes with an icebreaker question when I don't forget it. So this episode today, I want to ask myself, who is my top 3 people, dead or alive, that I would sit and have a cup of coffee with? And this answer I've been thinking on a lot, and I actually think this answer changes from time and space that we're in. Excuse me. But right now, at this point in my life, I would have to say my top 3 people. Number 1 is Pimp C, Chad Butler. He's a rapper from Port Arthur, Texas, who's deceased now. And the reason why I picked him is because he didn't have any fear. He spoke on things he wanted to speak about, and he never changed his conduct or his mannerism, and he never confirmed to anyone. And I like that because I felt like he was a free thinker, and his thoughts, they had very educated systems behind it, and he did his own research, and he did what he believed in. He made sure he understood it, and he just didn't speak on stuff he didn't know about. That's one reason I would choose Pimp C. My second person would have to be my mom. Just looking back at my life and everything I've been through, most of you guys who are tapped in at the moment right now know everything I've been through, or most of it. My mom did a ton to just mold me and shape me individually to being who I am today. And I actually love who I am today. I think it's good that I love myself at this time in my life, and I got to dedicate that to my mom. So my mom would be my second person. And my third person, this is hard. But my third person, I would say, at the moment right now in my life would be Barack Obama. Because when he was in office, no matter what he did, good or bad, he stayed at peace. You never really saw him riled up. You never really saw him over-exaggerated or flowing through emotions when he was president. And I just love the fact that he stayed calm and even keel at all times, no matter what crisis we're in. From a camera, obviously. I've never met Barack Obama, but from a camera, he seemed like he was on point and he was cool. But jumping right into the episode today, guys, I want to sit and just sit and chat with you guys about fear and perception and things that we face through social media that some of you guys probably don't know yet. So I just want to sit down and unpack that. So first of all, we got a big time election that went on today. And it's still going on actually as we speak. So I think I want to start my episode on fear about politicians. So first and foremost, I think both parties get us to vote and get us to react to things out of fear. I think they create fear. And I'll unpack some of the fears that each candidate presents. And then I'll dive into a little tangent about how I personally feel about it. So I'll start with Joe Biden. So Biden, one thing he's been big on this election is instilling fear in the people by blaming the coronavirus and the state that we're in America on Donald Trump. He's been so consistent at diving in, saying Trump has lack of control, lack of a plan, and he just didn't believe he thought it was a hoax at first and things like that. And I think when we take in that information from Biden, and a lot of people are scared to death of the coronavirus, and as they should be, I believe, but a lot of people are terrified of it. But taking in that from Biden and he's placing all 100% of the blame on Trump is a fear tactic. And I think we need to be mindful of that. And I know some of you guys agree with Biden because I've heard some of the things Trump said about the coronavirus and how lightly he took the coronavirus. But what I would say is we gotta be careful how we take in this information because we have to know that these things are used to like scare the people and like get them to vote for Biden. That's been our election. That's been our presidential election since the time of the very first election. The government always used fear tactics to get people to vote for a certain party. Another big one Biden used that is kind of like, this is a hard one for me to unpack, to be honest. Other one he used is Trump is a violent guy. He promotes violence, and he had no control over what happened during the protesting and then during the rioting and the looting and stuff like that. And that was a wild time. That was a very radical time, especially for me being a black man. That time was very radical, and I understood frustration. I didn't understand looting. I understood frustration, but throughout frustration, there's no understanding when you're frustrated. That's one thing I'll say about that. But Biden has been playing that card too when it comes to Trump about him being a violent man, him standing by white supremacists and promoting violence, honestly. And I think as a citizen of America, I think those things are personally real, like the standing by violence and stuff like that. But you have to understand our presidential's angles when they present these problems. Like, yes, these problems, some may be true, some not, but they're playing angles on us. And I really want you guys to understand that it's super hard, especially with social media, to think for ourselves. But you have to take everything with literally a grain of salt. So Biden planning on Trump being violent is another big factor of fear that Biden instilled in us. I'll jump to Trump now. I like the way they're on. But Trump plays on fear of loss of American jobs to win the people over. And he feared that immigrants, if we allow people to stay in this country who are here illegally or legally, don't really matter to him, I think, but who are here, especially illegally, he play on fear that they'll take jobs from us, they'll take opportunities from us. And a big thing about that is that, and I know that's a real fear. I'm aware that's a real fear of Americans. But the thing about that is some of the immigrants that are here are literally building our country for us. And I feel like if Americans wanted to build our country, we would have done it. Like we'll get up at 4 a.m. and build this country, but we haven't been doing it. And we had opportunities in the past. That's what we were doing. But now we're in a different realm, different society, and those jobs that immigrants are taking from us, they're jobs that Americans don't even want to do, to be honest. But I'll let y'all marinate on that one. And another one he's doing a fear tactic on is gun control. He's playing. I hear a lot of people say, this is the statement I hear, just through social media. Camilla Harris, however you pronounce her name, all due respect. When Biden's so old, he's gonna die, and Camilla Harris is gonna take all our guns away when she get in the chair of office. That's just not true, to be honest with you. I know for a fact that's not true. But, they got people voting for these candidates off of these tactics that they're presenting, and they're eating it up without even doing their research, without even seeking out the knowledge, seeking out facts about these topics. Another big one is Trump is playing that Biden is not able to tell us where his money from. I think watching the debates, it's hilarious every time they talk about anything financially. Trump throws in a sly joke about Biden getting money from other people, from unknown sources, and working with unknown people. I think that's hilarious because Trump has an angle when he does that, and his angle isn't to like tell for Joe to give up where he's getting his money from. He don't even allow him to talk after he said it. But his angle is to just create a illusion or a myth or something mysterious to the people, like honestly. And to be honest, now I really want to know where Biden get his money from to keep it a band. But that's all created through tactics and things that we got to be mindful for. And another one, the last one is Trump instills fear when he say Biden is wanting to force a deadly lockdown, and he's just claiming that he has a safe vaccine that'll be here before the end of the year. So when you hear that, especially as a Republican, when you hear that, you deadly lockdown and a safe vaccine is coming, you automatically, and you get riled up about that. And he's really good at riling the people up. I will tip my hat to him on that. He's really good at riling the people up. But with all that being said, throughout history, our government has been instilling fear tactics in us. And I think we just got to be more mindful and actually seek out real conversation, seek out real information. And it's so hard because of our era. We're in the social media era where everything is construed, and it's like you don't know what to believe. And I know I'm not the only one that's feeling like that with all this information coming out. Like today I was told that Wisconsin had 101% registered voters. Like what? Like where's this information coming from? Like there's a disconnect with all of the information, and that's them from social media, which leads me away from government right into social media. I've always felt certain ways about social media, but I indulge in social media, and I wasn't aware of everything social media was capable of. But like most of y'all probably ran across this documentary called Social Dilemma. And the guy who helped put this documentary together, named Tristan Harris, he unpacked a lot in the documentary. Just go check that out. Social Dilemma. It's on Netflix. Please, if you got Netflix, go check that out. It's really important. But in that documentary, these are stories from the people who created these things, from the people who worked tireless, giving a full 40 hours a week to these algorithms and these sites to keep our attention there. And it's very disgusting, to say the least. But so jumping a little bit back to government, these fear tactics have always been in place. But what I will say, social media only enhanced those things. It only allowed us to go down a spiral. And social media has created this disconnect from this set of people and this set of people. And they feel like they can't converse with each other because they got different views on a political standpoint or religious standpoint or anything. Like, honestly, any standpoint that's very controversial, these people feel like they can't be associated with the other side at all because they don't think like them. Social media has created, this huge gap between American versus American, and really just countries versus countries. Like it's everywhere. Like one thing in the documentary that he said, he was like, because all of these tools and all of these things are free for us. He was like, so if you're not paying for a product, then you are the product. that stood with me because all this is stemming from who can get our attention the longest. So they're playing. It's like a game simulation for them. This business model is like a complete game simulation, and that makes it fearful because this game simulation can cause suicide. It has caused suicide to rise. It has caused genocides in different countries. It has caused a ton of things. Like, just think about the teenage girl for a second. So these algorithms and these sites, they know if you're lonely. They know if you're happy. They know if you're upbeat or you're down. Like, they literally know these algorithms. So they'll put stuff in your face to keep you going happy or to keep you going sad. Like, that's like in the computer, it's not even a person. Computers have this control over us, like where we're warped. It puts things in our face that they know that we'll click on and they know that we'll watch. Whether it's negative, positive, don't even matter. They just want your time. They just want your screen time. They want your face. And to jump back to the teenage girl, since the social media era has arisen, 62% of teenage girls, 62% for the teenage girl age has went up in suicide rate. Literally, like 62%. And up to 151% has went up for the preteen from 10 to 12. Suicide rate has went up. These numbers are shocking. It's because of online bullying, online, just everything. Everything's online. Like, you got to think about with the state that we in right now with coronavirus. It's like our kids are working a full-time job who are public school. They're online for 8 hours a day. Like, they're just getting trained to stay online, to keep building online. And this will, and I really believe this will have a negative effect on our society. And it is having a negative pull on our society already. But to jump back into social media, these things really change the way we do. They change the way we walk. They change the way we talk. They change the way we dress. Everything is like to an extreme. Like, back, I know this is not the first generation of idols. They've had idols and superstars, pop stars of all time. But to see these images from a TV or a magazine, to so to say, you could get it at a slower speed. You had to wait till it come on TV. You had to do this, you had to do that. Let's just say, just so glad Michael Jackson had in his era, because it'd be bad. Because let's just say if Michael Jackson was around in the social media era, that would be crazy. We would be in a different world today if Michael Jackson was around during the social media era, because the following he had and the stuff that he can get people to gravitate to with a tool like social media could be really ugly for the world with his following. Not saying Mike Jackson's a bad person, but he'd have a huge following. But the thing is with this is, the biggest thing is with this is, if we can't agree on what's true, then we can't solve any problems. And that goes back to that disconnect I was talking about, when these two sides are facing each other and nobody can find common ground, nobody can find understanding. So we can't solve any problems today due to social media problems. And solutions to fix that, I don't know. I know I cut off all my notifications. I limit my screen time. But I know one thing Tristan said on the Joe Rogan Experience. He said it doesn't take, I think one kid saying, I'm going to delete my TikTok won't be enough because all of their friends are still on TikTok. He said it would take a group of parents, a group of leaders to get together and get their kids off one school. Like, if we can get one public school to get all of their kids off social media, then we'll see a bigger change in these issues that social media is like arising, because like we're getting opinions from any and everywhere, and we don't know if these opinions are valid or invalid. And it's just scary because with these opinions, we create fear, we create problems, we create turmoil, we create depression. And it's on the rise, and it won't stop. It won't go anywhere. It'll be here. It'll be here as long as social media is here, to be honest with you. Whew. Cool. Let's go to crisis. When we're in crisis, the fears that arise in crisis. If you look back on history honestly just repeats itself over and over and over and over again. Look back on the Great Depression, stock market crash of 2008, 9/11. All of these crises, there were fears coming out of it. I know one big one for the 9/11, the conspiracy that was coming out of it, that the USA was involved. That caused a lot of people who was pro-flag, big Americans to kind of question it, to kind of guess it. But it's moving out of fear because at first we rallied around it. At first, around 9/11, you'll see everybody with a flag put on the back of their car or a flag outside of their house, being so proud. But then when the conspiracy got out that USA was behind it all, or somewhat behind it, you see people kind of bashing America, Americans bashing America. But today we got a new crisis, not so much on 9/11. The new crisis is coronavirus. That coronavirus is real, y'all. It's real. So I'll jump into a few fears. That coronavirus, that social media enhances for us. First one is staying away from family. So my age group, 26 years old, my age group and a little bit younger, we're not really pretty much affected when it comes to death by the virus. So, of course, they got kids out here living wild, reckless, and free. Can you blame them for that? Like, honestly, can you? What if, talking to the older generation here, what would you do when you were 22? What would you do when you were 19 and in college and away from home? Would you quarantine? Was your mind there yet? But staying away from family is huge because as humans, we need that family interaction. We need to look each other in the eyes. We need that. We cling to that. Like that is extremely, extremely important, being around family. I was brought up, family is everything. And now I'm scared to go home to see my grandma because my grandma's old. And if I give her the virus, she won't make it. The chances of her making it are very slim to none. Do you want to be the reason you kill your grandma? That's what the fear tactic is put out right now. And I do think coronavirus is real. Believe me, I do. But staying away from our family is just another part of this crisis. That we probably, only time we have to deal with staying away from family is when it comes to war and stuff like that. But this is different. Like we're near family and can't even go over. Another one is clinging to the online world. I kind of hit on that earlier, but adults are working from home right now, so they're in front of a computer for 8 hours. But some adults are in the same house as their kids, and their kids are doing the same thing, sitting in front of a computer, working for 8 hours. Excuse me. We might as well give our kids a job at this point. Coronavirus created this fear where if we send our kids to school, they're going to come back and we're going to contract the virus. So dealing with these fears, my advice is stay safe, protect yourself at all times, but still love on your people if you can. Like as hard as that sounds, you can still love on your people. Give somebody a call if you have to, if you're scared to could give your family the virus. But just looking at all this stuff, it brings heavy emotions to me, honestly, because it's all stemmed from fear. So I wrote down a couple quotes I want to read to you guys today. This was from Bertrand Russell. He said, fear is the main source of superstition and one of the main sources of cruelty. To conquer fear is the beginning of wisdom. When I read that quote, about fear, and I want to sit up here and talk to you guys about fear. This quote stuck with me because people use fear for cruelty. And it's always been that way for throughout history. It always been that way. But as the people, what we can do is conquer fear. And it's the beginning of wisdom, as he said. But the way we conquer fear is not by clinging to social media. It's not by living in fear. It's by going out and having conversations with people we like, with people we don't like, to find understanding. Because a lot of fear is a misunderstanding, but that's a different story. But to conquer fear is the beginning of wisdom. It's wisdom. Self-educate yourself. You probably won't be scared anymore of situations if you self-educated yourself. And I know with coronavirus, there's a lot of inconsistency, a lot of different information going on, mask or no mask. Some sports are playing, some sports are not. So that's this kind of a tricky one. But with other things is that you fear, look it up, live in it, check it out. Like, and you may not be scared because you got wisdom on the situation. You know how to protect yourself from it. Another quote. Those who are young are particularly hungry for something new and can sense change is coming that they have set up in their own way. I'm talking to the youth right here. Say those that are young are particularly hungry for something new. I don't think I'm by myself when I say I'm ready for something new right now. With everything that's going on in the world, I don't think I'm by myself when I say I'm ready for something new. And we have to set ourselves up like the people. Like, I'm a part of a nonprofit called Prolific Development. Y'all should check out. Donate with us. We going around, we helping communities, we helping minority communities. I believe in that. Young people setting it up and not leaning on the government. Setting it up, getting out and leaning on the people. That's when things get done, when we go through the people. But us young people, we got our rise. We got to do better. We got to self-educate. We got to put these phones and these tablets down, and we got to pick up a textbook, go to the library, or have conversation, you know? Like, we can't get things done constantly on Twitter arguing with 67-year-old John Carl from Indiana. We can't. That's not the way to solve our situations that we're facing, that we want. We hungry for change. You young people are angry. You young people are hungry. And I love that. The passion is beautiful. But I do think we're stemming the energy in the wrong way. I 100% do. All that energy, all that anger, we can transition into something better. I really believe that, guys. And that quote stuck out to me, that quote from Robert Greene. That quote stuck out to me when I was reading earlier from him. And I'm like, that's it right there. Like, we can sense that change is coming, but we have to set it up in our own way, a healthy way. Get out, get with a group of people, go do something different, go do something, go actually do something instead of talking about it. And the last quote is also from Robert Greene. He left us with this task. He said, your goal is to understand as deeply as possible how the profoundly spirit of your generation is. And the times that you live in have an influence on how you perceive the world today. And the times that you live in have influenced how you perceive the world today. That quote's on here for that last part, really. And he started the quote out with, your goal is to understand as deeply as possible how the times that we live in today influence how you perceive the world. This quote I pulled out for all my free thinkers and all my people who got it figured out and know everything that's going on with the world today. This is for you. You have to understand that you are impacted by these worldviews. I am, you are, everybody is. What's going on in the world today shapes and molds us. Our thoughts and ideas would not be the same as they were if we were in the Great Depression right now. We wouldn't be thinking about the same thing. I wouldn't even be up here having this conversation with you guys right now if that's what it was. So we have to take the time to reassess and understand what our generation is doing and what's going on around us, what other generations around us are doing, older and younger, and try to understand these things and understand they have shaped our way of thinking. How can we zoom out, literally zoom out and view it all in one? How can we do that? And you have to take time by yourself. You have to take time with people to zoom out, get out of that cloud and just view it. Because you in it. You're already in it. It's too late. I promise you are. If you think you're a free thinker and you getting your own thoughts, you're in it. I promise. So zoom out, view everything, view the world, view people you don't like, view people you agree with, view people, view the young kids, view the youth. How do you connect with the youth? How do you connect with the older generation? You got to view these things if we want to see real change in the world that we live in, because it's honestly up to us to get out and do the work and stop being so fearful of conspiracies, the government, social media, and things that social media present. And I say all this to say I don't want to bash on social media. Social media has done good. Social media has done good. Social media has connected families. Social media has found hearts for people in need of hearts. Social media has made people successful in business who came from real rags to riches, really from the bottom. So social media, it does good and it can do good, but some of these things with social media has to be touched by the creators. We can't do it. Just by getting off won't be good enough. I think the creators have to turn down the volume on the algorithms. Start pulling people into warp zones like Flat Earth, Area 51, Who Killed Tupac, the Wayfair scandal. We didn't land on the moon. USA was involved with JFK assassination. USA was involved with 9/11 and secret societies. Stuff like that that people go down on a tangent on, which some may be true. I'm not counseling out any of those. I don't want to hold that burden of saying stuff isn't real or not. That's not my place to speak. But those tangents that we go down, those algorithms that pulls the human mind down, is another fear tactic. And social media has to turn that down. They have to. If we want to see any change, we got to challenge social media. We got to challenge. We got to face our fears, and we got to just come to a place of understanding. We literally have to open up our hearts if we believe that. If you believe that everything you're doing is right, then you're a part of the problem. I honestly believe that. I'm messing up every day. I really feel like I'm messing up every day, but I'm trying to figure it out. I'm analyzing. I'm not out here to put evil out into the world. I don't have no problems with nobody. But there's people who don't like me because of the things I talk about and stuff like that. But that's something I don't fear those things. But with all that being said, we have to come to this place where we can literally sit with fear and conquer it. And conquer it. And if we conquer fear, just like Russell said, it's the beginning of wisdom. And on the Minds with Hakeem, I love to give you guys wisdom. Well, that's all I really wanted to unpack with you guys. I hope you guys learned something. Open it up for questions in the comments. Whatever you guys want to talk to me about, you're able to reach me through comments. I'll give you my cell number if you want that. Anything. I'm an open book for all people. Color, don't matter. Height, don't matter, nothing. I'm open for all people. So this way I want to see what you guys can unpack and just to let you guys know everything gonna be okay if we come together and have real unity. But we can't have real unity with fear going around, y'all. We can't have real unity with fear going around if we don't unpack these issues, if we don't address these issues. It should just happen in another 4 years. And it just happened in another 3 years after that. And it is just history. It just keep doing what it does best. So that wraps up another episode 7 of the Minds with Hakeem. Hopefully I resonate with you guys. Hopefully you guys got some good stuff. Y'all have a blessed day and be breezy. Peace. What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Minds with Hakeem podcast. Today we laid down a pretty good episode. For you guys to get more episodes like this, hit that like button below. Smash that subscribe button for your boy. Peace. It's love, y'all.